What if the voice you've been waiting for all your life has never been outside you, but within you? What if the answer to your deepest question is not in the stars, nor in the opinions of men, nor in the shifting fortunes of the world, but already alive in the silent depths of your own being? Tonight I tell you the secret that kings, prophets, and mystics have whispered through the ages. If you speak to the God within you, it will answer. Not with thunder, not with spectacle, but with the quiet authority of law, shaping your health, your destiny, your fortune, your peace. For the infinite presence dwells in your subconscious mind, waiting only for you to call upon it with belief. And the law is sure, what you impress, it will express. The tragedy of man is that he looks outward for what can only be found inward. He pleads with distant heavens, begs before images, runs after every external promise of relief, while the living fountain of divine power is within him all along. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." That kingdom is not a far-off realm. It is the subconscious mind, charged with infinite intelligence, waiting for direction. When you speak with faith, the God within accepts your command and sets the wheels of creation in motion. When you doubt, when you fear, when you beg, it likewise accepts those impressions and expresses them as lack and defeat. The choice is yours. The presence is impartial. It responds not to your words alone, but to your belief, to the conviction behind your words. I recall a man who trembled with stage fright every time he stood before an audience. His conscious mind cried, "You will fail, you will falter." And his subconscious, ever obedient, manifested trembling and paralysis. But then he learned to speak to the God within. Before mounting the stage, he whispered inwardly, "Infinite presence speaks through me. My words flow with ease. My voice is strong and clear." And lo, the fear dissolved, replaced by calm authority. The difference was not in the stage, nor in the audience, but in the inner command. He had ceased to speak to himself as a slave of fear, and had begun to command himself as a child of the infinite. This is the secret. When you talk to God within, you are not begging, you are commanding divine law to act. You must understand this clearly. The God within is not swayed by vain repetition, nor by empty words, nor by outward show. It listens only to the feeling behind your words. If you say, "I am prosperous," but feel secretly poor, the God within accepts the poverty as the true command. If you say, "I am healed," but feel secretly doomed, the God within accepts the doom. But when your word and your feeling agree, when you speak with faith and picture with expectancy, then the subconscious is impressed, and the answer comes with certainty. This is why belief is everything. Say it aloud now. Write it upon your heart. The law of life is the law of belief. What you believe, you become. What you accept inwardly, you experience outwardly. Do not think the infinite within you is deaf or distant. It is nearer than your breathing, closer than your heartbeat. The very life that animates you is the presence of God. When you turn inward with faith, you are speaking to that presence, and it answers according to law. A woman once told me she had suffered with sleepless nights for years. She pleaded with doctors. She begged for relief, but none came. I taught her to talk to the God within before sleep, saying, "Divine peace fills me, infinite love enfolds me, I sleep in harmony with the eternal." She repeated it with feeling, and within nights she slept as a child. What had changed? Not the world, not her body, but the command she gave the infinite within. She stopped begging and began believing. Think of the subconscious as a silent servant, a divine engine waiting for direction. It does not argue, it does not reason, it does not resist. It only obeys. If you say, "I cannot," it obeys. If you say, "I can," it obeys. If you say, "I am weak," it obeys. If you say, "I am strong," it obeys. The difference between bondage and freedom lies in the words you speak inwardly and the faith you attach to them. You are commanding divine power with every thought, every affirmation, every inner image. Therefore, be deliberate. Do not throw careless words into the sacred soil of your subconscious. Plant only the seeds you wish to reap. Impress only the truth you wish expressed. The ancients understood this. Let the weak say, "I am strong." Why? Because in saying it and believing it and feeling it, they impress the subconscious with strength, and the subconscious expresses strength. According to your faith, be it unto you. Why? Because the subconscious accepts only belief, not appearances, not fears, not doubts, but belief. You cannot deceive it with lip service. You must convince it with faith. This is the reason every great teacher has urged men to believe, not to hope idly, not to wish weakly, but to believe strongly. For belief is the key that unlocks the power of God within. I tell you now, the most powerful prayer is not a string of words spoken to the sky, but the quiet affirmation spoken inwardly with faith. When you say, I am one with divine love, I am guided by infinite intelligence, I am whole, strong, and prosperous, and you feel it is true, the God within takes that command and begins at once to manifest it. It may come as guidance, as an opportunity, as healing, as peace, but come it must, for the law is sure. What is impressed is expressed. Never doubt this, for doubt is poison to the seed. Believe and you shall receive. So I urge you tonight, begin to talk to the God within, as to a trusted friend, as to a wise and faithful servant, as to the very presence of life itself. Do not beg it, command it with reverence. Do not fear it, trust it with certainty. Do not delay, begin now. For every word you speak inwardly is a decree. Every thought is a seed. Every feeling is a command. And the subconscious will obey, for it cannot resist. Seal this truth with a living affirmation. Say with me now, I am one with divine power. I am guided, healed, and prospered. I am free of fear and doubt, for the infinite within answers me now. Write it, whisper it, engrave it upon your soul. For tonight you are impressing, and tomorrow you will be expressing. The moment you realize that the God within answers, you will stop scattering your energy on outward things and begin directing it inward, where true power lies. Most men live in reaction to the world. They see a problem and beg for relief. They feel fear and cry for help. They face lack and chase after others for supply. But the one who understands divine law knows that all answers come from within, that every solution lies already in the subconscious waiting to be called forth. When you talk to the God within, you are speaking to the source, and the source is never barren. Outward things may fail, friends may depart, fortunes may shift, but the infinite within remains, inexhaustible and unchanging, ready to manifest whatever you impress upon it with faith. I knew a young woman who longed for love, but found herself rejected again and again. She thought the world was against her, that others were cruel, that fate had cursed her. Yet when I asked her what she believed in her heart, she admitted, I always feel unworthy, as if no one could truly want me. And that conviction, whispered silently to the God within, was faithfully expressed as loneliness. I taught her to change the command. Night after night she whispered before sleep, divine love flows through me. I am cherished, wanted, and adored. I radiate harmony and joy. She spoke it until she felt it. Soon her life began to shift. She attracted friendships, and in time, the partner she had sought for years appeared. The God within had answered, not her words alone, but the belief behind them. You must grasp this. Prayer is not begging a reluctant God, but impressing the subconscious with the truth you desire until it becomes belief. When you believe, the answer is sure, for the subconscious cannot resist conviction. Faith is the language of the God within. Doubt is static, fear is distortion, but faith is clear command. This is why Jesus said, when ye pray, believe that ye receive, and ye shall have. The believing is the receiving, for once the subconscious accepts, the outer world must mirror it. Say aloud now, or write it if you can, I believe, therefore I receive. Let this truth settle into your soul, for it is the master key to answered prayer. One man I counseled lived in constant fear of failure. He told me, I have tried, but nothing works. I always expect disappointment. And of course disappointment came, for that was the seed he planted nightly in the subconscious. I asked him to reverse the order. Instead of saying, I expect failure, I instructed him to declare, I expect success. Infinite intelligence prospers all my ways. Divine order governs my affairs. He resisted at first, but with persistence the new belief took root. Within months his business prospered, doors opened, and he marveled at the change. But nothing mysterious had happened. The God within had simply answered the new command. Remember always, what you expect you attract, because expectation is belief clothed in anticipation. The subconscious does not argue with you. It does not measure the size of your request. Whether you ask for a loaf of bread or for a kingdom, it responds the same. To infinite intelligence, there are no degrees of difficulty. The law is impartial. A woman once desired a new home but felt it impossible on her income. I taught her to affirm nightly, thank you, Father, for my beautiful home. It is mine now by divine love and order. She imagined herself walking in its rooms, feeling its peace. Within a year, circumstances arranged themselves, and she found herself living in the very type of home she had envisioned. Did she force it? No, she believed it. The God within responded to faith, not to effort. You must learn to talk to the God within, not as to a stranger, but as to your own life. For indeed it is your own life. It is the power beating your heart, breathing your lungs, directing your cells. This presence is not far away. It is the very essence of you. When you say I am guided, it is the God within guiding. When you say I am healed, it is the God within healing. When you say I am prospered, it is the God within prospering. Never separate yourself from this presence, for separation is illusion. Speak to it with intimacy, with reverence, with confidence. It will not fail you, for it cannot fail. Consider also that when you speak to the God within, you are impressing a power that never sleeps. While you slumber, it works. While you rest, it labors. That is why the moments before sleep are the most powerful of all. The last words you whisper, the last images you hold, are the seeds planted most deeply. Do not end your day rehearsing fears or grievances. End it by talking to the God within. Say, peace fills me, love surrounds me, tomorrow unfolds in harmony and abundance. Drift into sleep with these words, and you will awaken to their expression. For the subconscious, once impressed, works ceaselessly to express. There are those who think the answers of God come only in flashes of miracle, in sudden spectacular ways. But often the answer comes quietly, as guidance, as a new idea, as an unexpected opportunity. Do not overlook it. When you speak to the God within, expect to be guided, and guidance will appear in ways subtle yet sure. A sudden inspiration, a chance meeting, a door you had not seen. These are the whispers of the infinite. Pay attention. Follow them and you will see how perfectly divine order arranges every detail. Nothing is too small for the law, nothing too great. The God within governs all when you allow it. So tonight, begin the practice. Speak inwardly with conviction. Impress the subconscious with the truth you desire. Do it morning and night, with feeling, with expectancy, with reverence. And seal this lesson with a living decree. Say with me now, I am one with divine love and order. I am guided, healed, and prospered by the God within. I release fear and doubt, and I trust the infinite power that answers me now. Write it, whisper it, engrave it, for what you impress tonight you will express tomorrow. The law is faithful, the presence is sure, and the answer cannot fail. When you speak to the God within, you are not addressing a distant throne in the sky, but the living power that breathes through you, sustains you, and silently governs every function of your being. This presence is closer than your heartbeat, nearer than your very breath. Yet many overlook it, chasing external remedies, begging distant powers, while ignoring the infinite reservoir of wisdom and strength within their own soul. Imagine a man standing beside a clear spring, yet dying of thirst because he refuses to lower his cup. That is how most men live, surrounded by divine supply, yet parched because they will not draw upon it. Tonight I tell you plainly, speak to the God within and drink, and you shall never thirst again. Your subconscious, charged with the infinite, responds instantly to the impressions you give it. If you say, I am weak, I am doomed, I am lost, it will clothe your life with weakness, doom, and loss. If you say, I am guided, I am healed, I am prosperous, it will shape your life accordingly. There is no favoritism in the law, no partiality, no exception. It is exact, impartial, relentless. Whatever you impress, it expresses. This is both the terror and the triumph of life. If you fill your inner chamber with fear, fear must appear. If you fill it with faith, faith must appear. Therefore I urge you, do not speak lightly to the God within, for every word is a decree, and every decree is carried out. I once counseled a man who suffered constant financial ruin. He told me, Doctor, I pray, but nothing changes. I asked him, what do you say inwardly when bills come? He admitted, I always think I can't pay, I will never have enough. And so the subconscious, hearing the true prayer, answered faithfully with lack. I taught him to change the command, infinite supply sustains me. Wealth flows to me freely. I prosper in all ways now. At first he doubted, but he persisted until the words became conviction. Soon unexpected opportunities opened, debts cleared, and prosperity flowed. The law had not changed, only his inner decree had changed. Remember this, the words you speak inwardly are your real prayer, and the God within answers them without fail. Some will say, but I asked and did not receive. Did you ask with faith or with fear? Did you affirm with confidence or beg with doubt? The God within answers belief, not words. If you beg with trembling, the trembling is impressed, and the trembling is expressed. If you affirm with calm authority, the calm is impressed, and the calm is expressed. This is why belief is everything. The subconscious does not measure grammar or eloquence. It measures conviction. You may whisper the simplest word, but if spoken with faith, it moves mountains. Say it aloud now. The law of life is the law of belief. Write it on paper, engrave it in your heart, and let it never depart from you. Consider the healing of Madame Beer. Blind though her optic nerves were dead, Through suggestion and faith, sight was restored. How? The subconscious, convinced of sight, expressed sight, even when reason said it was impossible. Or think of hypnotic subjects who develop burns or stigmata simply because they believe it. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows belief. If belief can produce disease, belief can produce health. If belief can paralyze, belief can liberate. The God within does not ask whether it is possible. It only obeys the conviction impressed upon it. This is why I say think only from the end. Imagine the desire fulfilled, feel it is true, and the subconscious will find a way, whether through means you know or means you cannot fathom. Prayer, rightly understood, is not a weak plea, but a scientific use of the conscious and subconscious mind. The conscious chooses the seed, the subconscious grows it. The conscious plants the image, the subconscious expresses it. Your task is not to strain, not to force, but to impress. Choose your thought carefully, picture it vividly, repeat it with faith, and release it with trust. The subconscious, united with infinite intelligence, will bring it forth in divine order. This is why you must never finish a negative thought. If you begin to say, I will fail, reverse it instantly. I succeed through the power of God within me. If you begin to think, I am weak, correct it at once. I am strong through infinite presence. This is the discipline of true prayer. Let me remind you also that resentment, fear, and hate are prayers too, but prayers of poison. When you rehearse bitterness, you are speaking to the God within, and it answers with sickness, tension, and defeat. When you forgive, when you affirm love, you are speaking to the same God, and it answers with harmony, health, and freedom. Life is not mocking you, it is mirroring you. The subconscious is not against you, it is for you, but it must express what you impress. Therefore, fill it with beauty, truth, and love. Impress only what you want to live, for you will live whatever you impress. There is immense power in the spoken I am. Every time you attach a quality to I am, you are commanding the infinite within to manifest it. Say, I am tired, I am cursed, I am poor, and you have sown those seeds. Say, I am strong, I am blessed, I am abundant, and you have sown these. The subconscious never argues, never laughs, never doubts, it only obeys. Guard your I am as sacred. Let every I am be a decree of truth, not of fear. Whisper now with faith, I am one with divine power. I am whole, I am free, I am guided, I am prospered. Let it sink into you, let it be engraved, for these are the seeds that bear tomorrow's fruit. So I tell you tonight, stop waiting for miracles from afar. The miracle is already within you, waiting for your belief. Stop crying for help from the outside. Speak with authority to the presence within, and it will answer. Stop chaining yourself with negative decrees. Begin declaring the truth, and the truth will make you free. Seal this lesson with a living affirmation. I am one with the God within. I am guided, healed, and prospered now. I am free of fear, filled with faith, and walk in divine order. Write it, whisper it, repeat it until it becomes the song of your soul. For what you impress tonight, the God within will surely express tomorrow. The God within you is not silent because it cannot speak. It is silent because you have not listened. Its voice is not thunder, but a steady stream of impressions, guidance, and inner certainty. It waits patiently, responding faithfully to whatever command you give it, whether noble or ignoble. If you feed it fear, it answers with change. If you feed it faith, it answers with freedom. If you fill it with resentment, it answers with sickness. If you fill it with love, it answers with healing. There is no favoritism in this law, no exceptions, no delays. The God within answers always, in perfect correspondence to the seed you plant in its soil. And tonight I ask you, what seeds have you been planting, and are you ready to plant anew? A man once told me that his life was a string of failures. He begged for a change, he pleaded with heaven, but nothing shifted. I asked him, what do you tell yourself each day? He admitted, I always say, I can't do it, I am not good enough. Others are better than me. And so the subconscious, hearing these decrees, faithfully produced circumstances of failure. I told him to reverse the command, to speak differently to the God within. Each morning he affirmed, I am guided by infinite intelligence. I am strong, capable, and prosperous. Divine order governs all my affairs. He felt foolish at first, but persistence wore away the doubt, and soon the pattern of failure broke. Opportunities came, strength returned, and success unfolded. The God within had not ignored him before, it had only answered his wrong decree. You must understand that the subconscious does not recognize jest or sarcasm. If you say in mockery, I am always unlucky, the God within accepts it literally and expresses misfortune. If you say idly, I am sick of this life, it accepts and shapes conditions of sickness. Idle words are seeds too, and they do not return void. Therefore be vigilant in every word you speak inwardly or aloud. Do not curse yourself with careless decrees. Instead, train your inner speech to align with truth. Say, I am blessed, I am guided, I am abundant, I am whole. These words, when repeated with feeling, engrave themselves upon the subconscious, and the subconscious must obey. There was once a young girl paralyzed by fear before auditions. She would whisper inwardly, I will fail, I will forget, I cannot. And her subconscious, ever obedient, produced failure, forgetfulness, paralysis. I instructed her to reverse her speech, to declare, I am calm, confident, and composed. Divine power speaks through me. She practiced before sleep and before performance, and in time, her fear dissolved, replaced by poise and brilliance. Her talent had always been there, but her decree had chained it. Once she commanded the God within rightly, the chains fell away. This is the secret. Whatever you decree inwardly becomes flesh. The God within never argues, it only acts. Perhaps you wonder, how can I believe when my senses contradict me? This is the test of faith. Faith is not agreement with appearances. It is conviction of the unseen. If you are sick and you affirm, I am whole, the body may still ache, but the subconscious, impressed with wholeness, begins its work of restoration. If you are poor and you affirm, I am prosperous, the bills may still lie before you, but the subconscious, impressed with abundance, begins to rearrange circumstances. Appearances are the echo of past impressions. Belief is the seed of future expression. If you live by sight, you repeat the past. If you live by faith, you create the future. Choose tonight to live by faith. The God within is infinitely resourceful. You may not know how a thing will be done, but the infinite knows. Your part is to believe, to impress the desired end, and to rest in trust. The subconscious, united with the infinite, will arrange the means, through guidance, through new ideas, through chance meetings, through sudden openings. The how is not your burden. The what and the why are yours. The how belongs to the infinite. Release the strain of figuring out details. Speak the command, believe the end, and trust the God within to handle the path. You will be amazed at how perfectly, how mysteriously, how inevitably the way unfolds. But beware, resentment, fear, and guilt are also prayers, and the God within answers them as faithfully as it answers faith and love. A woman once suffered with lesions on her skin, and no treatment healed her. She admitted she carried hatred in her heart. I told her to release it, to say instead, divine love dissolves everything unlike itself. I am free, I am healed, I am filled with love. As she practiced, the hatred melted, and with it the lesions vanished. The God within had always been answering. Before it was answering resentment with disease, and now it was answering love with health. The law never fails, but you must choose what you impress upon it. Guard, therefore, the gates of your mind. Do not permit fear to linger, resentment to brood, doubt to settle. Replace them swiftly with faith, love, and expectancy. The God within is always listening, always responding. You cannot stop its action. You can only direct it. Direct it wisely, and life will mirror beauty, harmony, and abundance. Direct it poorly, and life will mirror fear, sickness, and lack. The responsibility is yours, but so is the glory. For to know that the infinite dwells within you is the highest revelation, and to speak to it rightly is the greatest power a man can wield. Seal this truth tonight with a decree of faith. Say with me, I am one with the infinite within. I am strong, whole, and prosperous. Divine love guides me. Divine order directs me. Divine power flows through me. Write it, whisper it, feel it, and let it sink into the soil of your subconscious. For what is impressed tonight will be expressed tomorrow, and the God within will answer according to your belief. The greatest mistake you can make is to believe that you are separate from God, as if the infinite were a distant monarch handing out favors to the worthy and punishments to the guilty. This false picture has enslaved millions in fear, leaving them to beg and plead for what is already theirs. The truth is that God is not apart from you. God is the very life within you, the subconscious mind charged with infinite intelligence, the divine power ready to create through you. When you talk to the God within, you are not asking a stranger for mercy. You are awakening the fountain of life already present, and once awakened through belief, it answers swiftly, faithfully, inevitably. I recall a man who longed for healing from a crippling illness. He prayed with words, but his heart remained filled with fear. He begged for years without relief. Finally, I taught him to change the inner dialogue. Instead of pleading, he affirmed, I am whole. The healing presence of God flows through me now. Every cell responds to divine order. He repeated it with feeling, especially before sleep, until his subconscious accepted it. Slowly his body grew strong and his strength was restored. The God within had answered, but not the begging, it had answered the belief. This is why I tell you, never approach the infinite as a beggar. Approach as a son, a daughter, an heir. Say with conviction, I am whole, I am guided, I am supplied, and the answer will come. The subconscious is no respecter of persons. It answers the saint as it answers the sinner, the wise as it answers the simple. For the law is impersonal. As fire will warm any man who draws near, so the God within will answer any who believe. You need not belong to a certain sect or recite a certain creed. You need only believe. The law of life is the law of belief. Whisper it now, write it on your heart. The law of life is the law of belief. What you believe, you become. What you impress, you express. There are no exceptions. The subconscious does not hesitate, does not delay, does not deny, it only obeys. Consider a young woman tormented by loneliness. She confessed to me, I have prayed for companionship, but all I feel is rejection. I asked her what she told herself at night. She said, I always think, no one wants me, I am destined to be alone. I explained that this was her real prayer, and her subconscious had simply answered it. I gave her a new decree, divine love fills me, I am wanted, cherished, and adored. I radiate joy and harmony. She spoke it until she felt it. Soon her life was transformed, friendships blossomed, and love found her. The world called it chance, but it was law. The God within had answered the new command. You must also learn that every I am statement is a key that unlocks divine power. When you say I am poor, you command poverty. When you say I am sick, you command sickness. When you say I am strong, I am rich, I am guided, you command strength, wealth, and guidance. The God within does not distinguish between a careless remark and a deliberate affirmation. It obeys both. Therefore, guard your I am as sacred. Let every I am be aligned with truth. Say it aloud now. I am guided, I am healed, I am prospered. Write it on paper, engrave it in your mind, for these are the decrees that shape destiny. Let me tell you plainly, worry is prayer in reverse. It is faith in evil. Each time you brood over fear, you are talking to the God within, and it answers with the very thing you dread. Faith in lack produces lack. Faith in sickness produces sickness. But the opposite is also true. Faith in abundance produces abundance. Faith in health produces health. The law is impartial. It expresses what you impress. Therefore, train yourself to reverse every negative thought the moment it arises. If you begin to say, I cannot, replace it instantly with, I can through the power of God within me. If you begin to say, I am afraid, correct it at once with, I am fearless and free. This is the discipline that transforms life. You may ask, how long must I affirm before I see results? The answer is, until you believe. The moment the subconscious accepts your affirmation as true, expression follows. Sometimes it is instant, sometimes gradual, but always certain. A seed does not sprout because you wish it to, it sprouts because you plant it and trust the soil. So with the subconscious, plant the seed of faith, water it with repetition and feeling, and then rest in confidence. The God within will do the rest. You cannot force the harvest, you can only sow the seed. But once sown, the harvest is inevitable. And remember, the infinite is not limited by the means you know. You may expect supply to come from one channel, but the God within has 1,000 channels. You may imagine healing through one method, but the God within may use another. Do not limit the infinite with your reasoning. Simply affirm the end, believe it, and leave the means to God. The answer may come through a doctor, a friend, a stranger, an idea, a sudden opening, but come it must, for the law cannot fail. The method is not your concern, the belief is. Speak the end with faith, and the infinite will arrange the way. Now let us seal this truth with affirmation. Say with me, I am one with the God within. I am strong, healed, and guided. I am free from fear and doubt. Divine love and order govern my life, and prosperity flows to me now. Whisper it until you feel it. Write it until it is engraved in you. For what is impressed upon the God within tonight will be expressed in your life tomorrow. The law is sure, the presence is faithful, and the answer is guaranteed. The secret of divine power is not in shouting louder or pleading longer, but in aligning your inner word with unshakable belief. Many imagine that prayer is about volume or repetition, as if the infinite were deaf or reluctant. But the God within does not respond to noise, it responds to conviction. A single phrase spoken with absolute faith carries more power than 1,000 empty words. Peace be still, said with authority, calms the storm. I am whole, said with belief, restores the body. I prosper now, said with expectancy, draws abundance. It is not the length of the prayer, but the depth of belief that moves the subconscious to act. I once counseled a businessman plagued with anxiety. He confessed that he prayed every morning, yet his fear never left. I asked him what he said. He told me, I begged God to remove my fear. And that was the problem, he begged, which is only fear clothed in words. The subconscious heard not the request, but the underlying terror, and so it obeyed. I taught him to change his approach. Each morning he was to affirm, I am calm and poised. The peace of God fills me now. Infinite wisdom guides me in every step. He repeated it slowly, with feeling, until he believed it. Within weeks the anxiety was gone. The God within had answered not his begging, but his belief. You must understand that fear and faith are both prayers, but opposite ones. Fear is faith in evil, faith in misfortune, faith in loss. Faith is belief in good, belief in harmony, belief in abundance. The God within answers both with equal fidelity. If you sow fear, you reap fear. If you sow faith, you reap faith. The soil does not care what seed you plant, it only brings it forth. This is why discipline of thought is so crucial. Do not let your subconscious be a dumping ground for fear and resentment. Guard it as sacred ground. Plant only the seeds you wish to harvest. If a thought of fear arises, replace it instantly with faith. If a thought of lack whispers, replace it with abundance. If a thought of weakness intrudes, replace it with strength. The ancients understood this principle. Let the weak say, I am strong, not because they were deceiving themselves, but because by affirming strength, they impressed it upon the subconscious, and strength was expressed. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Not what he says idly, not what he wishes vaguely, but what he believes in his heart. The subconscious is the heart of man, the inner chamber where belief is planted and from which life springs. Guard that chamber. Fill it with truth, beauty, love, abundance, and health, and life will mirror it back to you unfailingly. One woman told me she could never prosper. She said, I pray for supply, but nothing comes. I asked her what she believed. She admitted, I always feel unworthy, as if wealth is not for me. That feeling was the real decree, and her subconscious had obeyed. I gave her a new affirmation. I am worthy of abundance. I am a child of the infinite. Prosperity is mine now. She repeated it until her heart accepted it. Soon opportunities flowed to her, finances improved, and her life shifted. What had changed? Not the world, but her decree. The God within had answered her new belief, as faithfully as it had answered her old fear. You must learn to expect the answer. Expectation is the womb of manifestation. If you pray with doubt, saying, I hope it will come, you are really affirming uncertainty, and uncertainty will be expressed. But if you pray with assurance, saying, it is mine now, I accept it, I rejoice in it, the subconscious is impressed with certainty, and certainty will be expressed. The infinite does not withhold. It gives according to your belief. If you believe in delay, delay comes. If you believe in immediate supply comes. Expect, and you shall experience. Doubt, and you shall delay. The law is exact. Do not limit the God within by dictating how the answer must come. Simply declare the end, and trust the infinite to arrange the means. A man once prayed for money and expected it through a raise at work. Instead, he received it through an unexpected inheritance. The subconscious drew it from a channel he had never imagined. The infinite is resourceful beyond your reason. Your task is to believe in the end, to accept the desire as already fulfilled. The God within will weave the method in perfect order. Do not strain over details. Rest in conviction. The how is God's, the belief is yours. And remember, the God within is always answering, even when you think it is silent. A delay is not denial. It is often preparation. The seed germinates unseen before it breaks the soil. The subconscious is at work even when you see nothing. Trust the process. Keep affirming, keep believing, keep expecting. Do not uproot the seed with doubt. Let it grow in silence, and in due season the harvest will appear. Faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, and the God within never fails to honor faith. Seal this truth now with a decree. Say with me, I am calm, strong, and prosperous. The peace of God fills me. The power of God flows through me, and the wisdom of God guides me. I expect only good, and good flows to me now. Write it, whisper it, believe it, until it becomes the very rhythm of your heart. For what you impress tonight will be expressed tomorrow, and the infinite within will answer you according to your belief. The God within you is a faithful servant, but it is also a mighty master builder. Whatever plan you hand it, it will construct with precision, whether it is a palace of abundance or a prison of fear. This is why many suffer in silence. They have unknowingly given their subconscious a blueprint of defeat, and the infinite within, impartial and exact, has built accordingly. But once you awaken to the truth that you can hand it a new plan, the entire direction of your life changes. For the subconscious does not cling to the old. When a new conviction is planted, it obeys the most dominant seed. If you sow faith stronger than fear, love stronger than hate, abundance stronger than lack, the harvest must follow the new seed. I remember a young man who told me that every relationship he entered ended in betrayal. He said bitterly, "I cannot trust anyone. People always leave me." And his subconscious, hearing this decree night after night, expressed it faithfully, drawing to him exactly the kind of people who would abandon him. I taught him to speak differently to the God within. Each evening he affirmed, "Divine love governs all my relationships. I attract loyalty, harmony, and joy. I am surrounded by trustworthy companions." At first he felt it was a lie, but persistence turned the affirmation into belief, and belief turned into reality. His friendships shifted, betrayal vanished, and harmony reigned. The God within had answered, not the words alone, but the belief forged through repetition. This is the secret of transformation. Repetition with feeling. The subconscious is impressed not by a single thought, but by the thoughts you persist in. Just as water wears away stone, not in one drop but in many, so affirmation engraves itself upon the subconscious through steady repetition. Do not be discouraged if results are not immediate. Persist and belief will form. And once belief is formed, expression follows without effort. You may say, "But I do not feel it yet." Then keep affirming until you do. Feelings will come, and once they do, the God within will move swiftly. The law is certain. The law never fails. You must also learn that forgiveness is a command to the God within. When you hold resentment, you are planting seeds of poison, and the subconscious answers with sickness, conflict, and defeat. When you release resentment, saying, "I release and forgive. Divine love fills me. Harmony is mine now," the subconscious accepts and expresses healing, peace, and prosperity. A woman once came to me covered with sores doctors could not cure. She admitted she lived in constant hatred of her family. I told her, "Release the hatred, forgive inwardly. Say, 'I am free,' and I set them free. Divine love dissolves everything unlike itself." She obeyed, and as the hatred melted, the sores disappeared. The God within had answered both prayers, the old prayer of hatred with disease, the new prayer of love with healing. Never forget that the subconscious is always listening. It records every word, every emotion, every image. You may forget, but it does not. It is your book of life, and tomorrow is written on its pages by what you impress today. Do not fill it with idle curses, fears, and complaints, for these will appear in due season. Fill it with affirmations of truth, and the harvest will be joy. If you must repeat anything, let it be noble, beautiful, and life-giving. Let your nightly prayer be not of fear, but of faith, not of resentment, but of love. For the God within cannot fail to answer, and it will answer with the harvest of your own sowing. Do not be deceived by appearances. The body may ache, but if you affirm wholeness with belief, the subconscious begins its silent work of repair. The purse may be empty, but if you affirm abundance with conviction, supply begins to flow. The world may sneer, but if you affirm guidance with faith, doors will open where none seemed possible. Appearances are the shadows of yesterday's thoughts. Belief is the seed of tomorrow's reality. Choose now whether you will be chained by appearances or liberated by belief. The God within is greater than any condition, but it must be commanded by faith. Even science has glimpsed this law. Hypnotic suggestion can produce wealth, paralysis, or relief, all by belief impressed upon the subconscious. If the mind can poison the body with fear, it can heal the body with faith. If it can create failure through doubt, it can create success through conviction. The power does not change, only its use does. Fire can burn or warm. Water can drown or nourish. The subconscious can curse or bless, depending on what you hand it. This is why I say, choose carefully, speak deliberately, affirm persistently, for you are speaking to the most powerful force in existence, and it will not refuse your command. Guard especially the gateway of sleep. The last words you whisper are the deepest seeds. If you fall asleep with fear, fear is impressed. If you fall asleep with gratitude, Gratitude is impressed. If you fall asleep rehearsing grievances, resentment is impressed. But if you fall asleep saying, peace fills me, love surrounds me, success is mine now, I rest in divine order, then these truths are impressed most deeply, and they will express as harmony, health, and success. The God within works while you sleep, shaping tomorrow according to tonight's decree. Let us seal this lesson with affirmation. Say with me now, I am worthy, I am guided, I am free. Divine love fills me, divine order directs me, divine power answers me. I forgive, I release, I am healed. Whisper it, write it, believe it. For what you impress now, the infinite within will surely express. The law is faithful, and the God within never fails. The God within is the silent architect of your destiny. And yet most men treat it as a stranger, knocking at every door outside while ignoring the treasure house inside. They run to astrologers, to omens, to the fleeting promises of fortune, but seldom do they pause to realize that infinite intelligence already resides within them, waiting to be addressed. You do not need to chase power, you need only awaken to it. You do not need to beg for answers, you need only impress them. When you talk to the God within, you are speaking to the master power of the universe clothed in your own soul, and it answers with perfect faithfulness to the belief you plant. I once counseled a woman who lived in constant turmoil at home. She told me, my family brings me nothing but conflict. Peace is impossible here. And because that was her decree, her subconscious faithfully built more conflict. I asked her to speak differently to the infinite within. Each night before sleep, she affirmed, divine love fills this home. Harmony governs every heart. Peace reigns here and now. She imagined her household bathed in light, saw her family speaking kindly, felt the joy of a loving home. At first it felt false, but in time her belief grew. Slowly the quarrels ceased, tempers softened, and peace appeared. What had changed? Not the people alone, but her decree. The God within answered the new impression as faithfully as it had answered the old. You must realize that the subconscious cannot resist the picture you paint with faith. If you imagine disaster, it obeys. If you imagine triumph, it obeys. It does not argue, does not reason, does not mock. It only creates according to the conviction it receives. This is why your imagination is sacred. It is the womb of your future. Fill it with fear, and you give birth to fear. Fill it with faith, and you give birth to freedom. Do not misuse this power. Direct it wisely. Each night before sleep, see yourself already in possession of the good you desire. Feel it is real, rejoice in it as done, and the God within will build it into your life. Think of your subconscious as a loyal but unimaginative worker. Hand it sorrow and it builds sorrow. Hand it joy and it builds joy. Hand it sickness and it builds sickness. Hand it health and it builds health. It is not the servant's place to argue with the master. It is only to obey, and you are the master of your thought. Never forget this. Your inner speech is the command. Your subconscious is the builder. Therefore guard your words, guard your feelings, guard your imagination. If you speak rashly, the God within will still obey. If you speak with faith, it will obey with equal swiftness. Choose then what decree you will issue. A young student once longed to study abroad but lacked resources. Each night she wept, saying, it is impossible, I will never go. Her subconscious accepted the decree and doors remained closed. I instructed her to reverse it. She began affirming, I am guided by divine wisdom. My way is open. My needs are met. My dream is fulfilled. She pictured herself traveling, saw the joy of the journey, felt the gratitude of it accomplished. Within months, scholarships appeared, doors opened, and she departed. The God within had not been deaf before. It had only been obedient to her wrong decree. Once she commanded it rightly, the answer was inevitable. Do not underestimate the power of repetition. One fearful thought will not ruin you, nor one faithful thought save you. But what you repeat with feeling night after night, day after day, becomes etched into the subconscious, and the subconscious must express it. This is why discipline matters. This is why persistence matters. One drop does not hollow a stone, but countless drops do. One affirmation may feel weak, but many affirmations carve faith into your soul. And once faith is formed, the God within answers with speed. Do not despise the small beginnings. Every repetition is a seed, and every seed is destiny in the making. You must also know that guilt and condemnation are chains you forge with your own words. If you constantly say, I am unworthy, I am guilty, I am condemned, the God within will obey and create conditions of bondage. But if you say, I am forgiven, I am free, I am whole, it will likewise obey and create freedom. The infinite does not argue, it answers. Do not chain yourself with false decrees. Declare instead, I am a child of God. I am one with divine love. I am worthy of abundance, health, and joy. Speak it until you feel it, and soon the subconscious will accept it as fact, and life will mirror it. Remember, appearances are echoes of yesterday's prayers. What you see today is not final, it is the shadow of what you once believed. Do not despair at appearances. Begin planting new seeds. The harvest will come, though not always instantly. Trust the process. The God within is already at work. You cannot see the roots growing beneath the soil, but they grow. You cannot see the seed breaking open in darkness, but it breaks. Believe, persist, and in due time the fruit will appear. Faith is patient because it knows the law cannot fail. Let us affirm together now. Say with me, I am guided by divine wisdom. I am surrounded by divine love. Peace reigns in me. Success flows to me, and the God within answers me now. Write it, whisper it, engrave it until it becomes conviction. For what you impress tonight, the infinite within will faithfully express. The law is sure, the presence is near, and the answer is certain. I once met a man who lived under the constant shadow of poverty. He said to me, I have prayed all my life for wealth, but nothing comes. I asked him, what do you say in your heart? He admitted, I always feel that money escapes me, that wealth belongs to others. That was the real prayer, and the God within answered it faithfully with lack. I gave him a new decree. I am one with the riches of the infinite. Prosperity flows through me now. I am worthy of abundance. He repeated it with faith, visualizing himself already supplied, feeling the joy of freedom. In time, opportunities opened, debts dissolved, and prosperity appeared. The God within had not ignored him. It had only answered his true belief. Once the belief changed, the answer changed. The God within you is not a distant dream or a poetic phrase. It is the living, breathing source of every heartbeat, the hidden architect of every event in your life. Yet most men walk past this treasure as though it were not there, bowing instead to fear, to doubt, to appearances. They forget that infinite intelligence is not against them but within them, waiting to be addressed, waiting to be believed. This is why Scripture says, call unto me and I will answer thee. The call is not to the sky, but to the depths of your own soul, and the answer is not delayed by distance, for the distance is none. The answer comes the moment belief is formed, the instant conviction is impressed. This is why you must examine your inner speech. Outwardly you may say, I desire peace, but inwardly you may be rehearsing grievances. Outwardly you may say, I want success, but inwardly you may be affirming fear of failure. Outwardly you may say, I long for health, but inwardly you may be repeating, I am doomed. Remember this, the God within hears not the lips but the heart. It answers not the words but the belief. Therefore, align your inner speech with your outer desire. Let your heart, your imagination, your feeling all agree with the words you speak. When thought, word, and feeling unite, the subconscious is impressed, and the infinite answers without fail. I knew a young student who feared examinations. She would always imagine herself failing, and her subconscious faithfully produced panic and forgetfulness. I taught her to reverse the picture. Each night she saw herself calm, confident, writing answers with ease, receiving high marks. She whispered, infinite intelligence expresses through me. I know the answers. I am calm and successful. At first it felt artificial, but soon the image became conviction. Her performance changed completely, and success replaced failure. The God within had answered her new picture as faithfully as it had answered her old one. What changed? Not her intellect, but her inner decree. You must also grasp that imagination is the creative workshop of God within. Whatever picture you paint with conviction, it will build into your life. If you continually see yourself defeated, you are handing your subconscious a blueprint of failure. If you continually see yourself triumphant, you are handing it a blueprint of victory. And the subconscious, loyal builder that it is, will construct accordingly. This is why you must deliberately picture the life you desire. See it clearly. Feel it as real. Rehearse it nightly before sleep. The subconscious cannot resist a vivid, repeated image filled with emotion. It accepts it as fact, and the infinite begins to weave it into reality. Some think that misfortune proves God has abandoned them. No, misfortune proves only that they have abandoned belief. The infinite does not punish, it expresses. If you impress fear, it expresses fear. If you impress doubt, it expresses doubt. If you impress faith, it expresses faith. The law is impartial, exact, and just. As you sow, so shall you reap. Sow wisely, sow deliberately, sow faithfully, and the harvest will be sure. Do not waste your days cursing the soil. Change the seed, and the soil will reward you with abundance. Understand this. Every I am you utter is a command. I am sick is a prayer to the subconscious, and it will answer with sickness. I am poor is a prayer, and it will answer with lack. But I am strong, I am prosperous, I am guided are also prayers, and the God within will answer with health, wealth, and direction. Do not despise the power of these two words. They are the most sacred words you will ever speak. Guard them, direct them, attach to I am only that which you want to see expressed. Whisper now with conviction, I am whole, I am wealthy, I am free. Let it sink into the soil of your subconscious, for tomorrow it will bear fruit. And remember, the answers of God often come quietly, naturally, through the ordinary channels of life. Do not expect thunder and lightning. Expect guidance, ideas, opportunities, meetings, changes in circumstance. These are the ways the infinite works, subtle yet perfect. Speak the word with faith, release it with trust, and be watchful for the ways it begins to unfold. The answer may come suddenly, or it may grow like a seed. But come it must, for the God within cannot ignore belief. Let us end this moment with a living affirmation. Say with me, I am one with the riches of the infinite. I am guided, healed, and prospered. I believe, and therefore I receive. Write it down, whisper it aloud, feel it is true. For tonight you are impressing the God within, and tomorrow you will be walking in its answer. The law is faithful, the presence is sure, and the result is inevitable. The God within does not measure your requests by size. To infinite intelligence, healing a body is no harder than healing a bruise. Providing a fortune is no greater than providing a coin. Restoring harmony in a family is no more difficult than soothing a single quarrel. The law makes no distinction. It only obeys belief. Yet men constantly diminish their own prayers, saying this is too much to ask, or this problem is impossible. They forget that the subconscious is united with the limitless source of all creation. Nothing is impossible to it, except that which you declare impossible. When you say, I cannot, the God within says, you cannot. When you say, it is mine now, the God within replies, it is yours now. I recall a woman who sought healing from blindness, though doctors declared her condition hopeless. Through suggestion and belief, her sight was restored, even though her optic nerves were destroyed. To reason it was impossible, but to faith it was inevitable. The subconscious accepted the impression of sight, and the body adjusted to obey. This is the great secret. The God within does not ask whether a thing is reasonable, it only acts upon what is impressed with conviction. This is why the words of Christ ring eternal. According to your faith be it unto you. It is not the outer condition that governs, but the inner belief. Change the belief and the condition must follow. A man once told me that every business he attempted ended in failure. He always expected ruin, always feared betrayal, and his subconscious faithfully produced it. I asked him to change his inner decree. He began affirming, infinite intelligence prospers all that I do. Divine order governs every transaction. Success is mine now. He persisted until his belief shifted. Soon ventures that once collapsed began to flourish. Was this luck? No, it was law. The God within had been answering his old command with failure, and now it answered his new command with success. Remember this, your subconscious does not delay its obedience. It always reflects your dominant belief. You must not confuse appearances with reality. Appearances are shadows, reflections of yesterday's impressions. Reality is belief, for belief is the seed of tomorrow's expression. Do not let the shadow frighten you. Plant a new seed and the shadow will change. If you are sick, affirm health. If you are poor, affirm abundance. If you are lonely, affirm love. Do not wait for conditions to change before you believe. Believe now and conditions will change. This is the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, the law of life itself. Say it with me. What is impressed is expressed. Write it down, whisper it aloud, let it be etched in your soul, for this is the unchanging law of the God within. Consider also that resentment and guilt are poisons you mix for yourself. One woman came to me covered with rashes that baffled doctors. She admitted she carried years of bitterness. I instructed her to forgive inwardly, to affirm, I release resentment. Divine love fills me. Harmony governs my body. She repeated this until she felt it, and as she released the bitterness, her skin healed. The God within had always been answering her prayer, the old prayer of hatred with disease, the new prayer of love with health. The law is exact, it cannot mock itself. If you plant thorns, you reap thorns. If you plant roses, you reap roses. The soil is impartial. The seed alone determines the harvest. Guard therefore the seed you plant daily in the subconscious. Do not rehearse failure, for it will be built. Do not declare weakness, for it will be constructed. Do not say, I am always unlucky, for the God within will obey and weave misfortune into your path. Instead, plant seeds of strength, success, and guidance. Say, I am guided by infinite wisdom. I am prospered by infinite supply. I am strong in body and mind. The subconscious will take these seeds and construct them into experience. Remember, the God within is not idle. It is building constantly, and it builds according to your instructions. You must also realize that gratitude is one of the highest forms of prayer. When you thank the infinite as though your desire were already fulfilled, you impress the subconscious with conviction. Gratitude says, it is done, and the God within answers, it is done. A man once prayed for a job. He was taught not only to affirm, but to thank the infinite in advance. Each morning he said, thank you, Father, for the perfect position that is mine now. Soon he was offered a position far beyond his expectation. Gratitude sealed the belief, and belief secured the expression. Begin tonight to thank the infinite, not for what you hope will come, but for what you know is yours already. Gratitude is belief clothed in joy. Even in sleep, the God within works tirelessly. This is why the last thought before you drift off is of supreme importance. Do not hand your subconscious the poison of worry. It will spend the night weaving more worry into tomorrow. Hand it instead the command of faith. I am at peace. I am whole. I am prosperous. I rest in divine order. Let these words be your lullaby, and they will become your life. For while you sleep, the infinite is awake, working, building, arranging, answering. Trust this power, for it never slumbers, never falters, never fails. Seal this moment with a final decree of faith. Say with me now, I am guided by infinite wisdom. I am supplied by infinite abundance. I am healed by infinite love. I am strong. I am free. I am complete. Whisper it, write it, engrave it upon your soul. For what you impress tonight, the God within will surely express tomorrow. The law is certain, the presence is near, and the answer is already on its way. The secret of divine power has always been hidden in plain sight. The God you seek is the God within, and it answers according to your belief. Every word you whisper in the silence of your heart is a command, and every command is obeyed. The subconscious mind, charged with infinite intelligence, does not judge whether your decree is wise or foolish, noble or ignoble. It only accepts and expresses. This is why men suffer or succeed, why some live in chains and others in freedom. It is not fate nor chance, but belief. The law of life is the law of belief. Say it now, write it on your soul. The law of life is the law of belief. This is the golden key, the secret thread, the foundation of all answered prayer. I once spoke with a man who lived in terror of sickness. He said, I feel every ache and imagine the worst. I fear I will never live long. His subconscious, hearing this constant prayer of fear, obeyed faithfully, filling his days with weakness and anxiety. I told him, change the command. Speak to the God within with faith, not fear. Say, the healing presence of God flows through me. Every cell is radiant with life. I am strong, whole, and free. He repeated it until belief was formed, and as belief grew, strength returned, and his fears vanished. The God within had not cursed him before. It had only answered his fear. Now it answered his faith. The law was impartial, exact, and unfailing. Some think the infinite is silent because their lips say one thing, while their heart says another. Outwardly they affirm, I am prosperous, but inwardly they feel, I am poor. Outwardly they declare, I am loved, but inwardly they believe, I am unwanted. And the subconscious obeys the heart, not the lips. You cannot deceive the infinite. It sees through words into belief. Align your speech and your feeling, and the God within will answer in power. If you do not feel it yet, persist until you do. Words repeated with persistence become conviction, and conviction becomes expression. This is the secret of transformation. Repetition until belief is born, and once belief is born, expression follows as surely as night follows day. Let us remember that guilt, resentment, and fear are also prayers, but they are prayers of bondage. If you say, I am guilty, I am cursed, I am condemned, the God within obeys, and life mirrors condemnation. If you say, I release the past, I am free, I am forgiven, I am one with divine love, the God within obeys that too, and life mirrors freedom. The law is impartial. The soil does not choose the seed, it only grows what you plant. Plant wisely, plant deliberately, plant with faith, and the harvest will be joy. Do not curse yourself with careless decrees. Speak only that which you wish to live, for what you speak inwardly becomes the world you walk outwardly. Even in matters of supply, the law holds true. I counseled a woman drowning in debt who constantly said, I am always behind, I never have enough. Her subconscious loyal servant fulfilled her decree. I instructed her to change her nightly prayer. Infinite supply sustains me. Abundance flows to me in divine order. I am free from debt and prospering now. She wrote it, whispered it, felt it until conviction came. Soon, unexpected channels of income opened, debts were cleared, and prosperity unfolded. The infinite had not delayed. It had only been waiting for a new seed. What is impressed is expressed. This cannot be repeated too often. Write it down. What is impressed is expressed. Let it burn into your mind, for it is the law of your destiny. Do not forget that the infinite within is limitless. Do not restrict it by your reasoning. Do not say it can only come this way, or it must happen through this channel. Declare the end, and leave the means to God. The subconscious, united with infinite intelligence, will find ways you cannot imagine. Supply may come through work, through gifts, through chance meetings, through sudden openings. Healing may come through medicine, through rest, through faith, through unknown forces. Guidance may come through intuition, through conversation, through opportunity. The means are countless. The law is one. Your task is not to dictate the method, but to believe in the end. Every night, as you prepare for rest, speak to the God within with reverence. Do not hand it fear or resentment to build with. Hand it faith, peace, and abundance. Say, I am guided. I am whole. I am prosperous. I rest in divine love. Drift into sleep with these words, and your subconscious will work through the night to shape your tomorrow. The most powerful moment of prayer is not in the crowded temple, but in the stillness of your own heart as you fall asleep. Guard that moment well. Plant seeds of life, and life will be your harvest. So I tell you tonight, stop wandering in darkness. The God you seek is not far off. It is within you, listening always, answering always, creating always. Talk to it with faith, and it will answer with abundance. Talk to it with fear, and it will answer with defeat. The choice is yours. The law is impartial, the presence is faithful, the result is certain. You cannot escape the law, but why would you wish to? It is your greatest ally, your dearest friend, your eternal source. Trust it, believe it, command it rightly, and it will make your life a masterpiece of harmony and power. Now seal this series of truths with a final affirmation. Say it aloud, write it on paper, whisper it in your soul. I am one with the God within. I am guided, healed, and prospered. I am strong, worthy, and free. Divine love governs me, divine wisdom directs me, divine power answers me now. Repeat it until it becomes the rhythm of your being. For the law of life is the law of belief, and what you believe with conviction, you will surely see. The God within has answered, is answering, and will always answer.